Hello, dear friends. I wanted to make a video today and talk about current energies and growing up and the opportunity that we have to make kind of a leap into transcending the division. So I've just noticed that so I started going to this local church because I got involved with the band, and that's this whole long story. But I was with a whole group of people that view the world in a dramatically different way than I do. And I just saw this meme today that applies so perfectly when you begin to see through the matrix what they've been showing us, not just since the advent of television and the news, but all throughout history. And what they tell us, what they don't tell us, how they frame it, the controllers. You begin to see it as a really bad B grade movie. And I had an experience in this church to really stay in the heart, and it's kind of like there was a governor put on my energy field. I would say by my guides or by Jesus or whomever, and I got to just share in the heart with people. And when I would hear things being said that I thought were just ridiculous, about world events and the stuff, I was just like, I heard the love, I heard the loving intention, and I was able to kind of get in a bigger place and see how this overall thrust of the intention to love, and that's where I was at. That's what I was valuing. It's kind of like I was in my professional mode where you sort of expect more of yourself, like you would be with your clients. Really professional. Sometimes, I was professional often means I was more emotionally mature. I was gracious. I took the high road. I didn't get petty. I wasn't judgmental. I was, professional kind of like means presentable, acceptable, appropriate. We take it to mean something that wouldn't be bad for business, but really what it is seeking to not offend. And then I would drop down into this lower vibration with my like-minded friends and, and look at the world and listen to, this video or that video and see the division. And then I would feel my vibration coming down and I would get locked in this frustration of they can't see it. Why can't they see it? And that's the trap. And that's what I wanted to talk about today is that I had this brief experience of being able to hold a higher vibration that wasn't petty, that wasn't, it was so sad. I was watching this video, Jeff Mara podcast. He just interviews people who have had near-death experiences, and it's like a shot in the arm. It's like a reminder of, what's really important and seeing things from the other side, getting the perspective of death really puts things into perspective. What's really important? What are we really doing here? And what came to me, what was so sad is that in the comments, somebody brought up, oh, the trauma, think of all the trauma of all the children of Ukraine. And then someone else said, what about all the trauma of the kids who have had to wear masks? And then the other one said, apparently you haven't lost anyone to COVID. And, right away there was just that getting locked down into the back and forth and what would I say? And there's this fighting agenda. There's this winning agenda. There's this ego that is like the most important thing here is the truth and convincing the other person of the truth and this anger, this frustration of, it's like, what is that? What's happening on that level? And I get it, believe you me, I get it, especially when you can step way back and you can see the level of deception and manipulation And you think back to when you were manipulated that way, and it's like whenever the mainstream media, it's like, here, lead me around, tell me what to care about, tell me what to feel about. And you're just like, oh. But the resilience and beauty of the human spirit is, think of how long you were deluded. Think of the ways that you got manipulated and that you chose love as much as you could. Hating Donald Trump, I did it in a virtuous and beautiful and loving way. When he first got elected, I wrote this beautiful post on Facebook, which my brother shared with his church. And it was like, my pain and my anguish come out of my love of virtue, my love of goodness. It's because I believed what they were telling me about him. They were very invested in getting me to feel a certain way about him. And so really what I was talking about was this over here. They wanted me to attach it to this person. Let's just say racism. And if you take that and you go over here and you say, how do I feel about racism? How do I feel about all these things, this shit that they're throwing? How do I feel about the shit? And it's really important to stay above the fray and say we all agree about how we feel about shit. We disagree about who's wearing it, but we can't get stuck there. And so the growing up piece that I wanted to talk about today is the importance of choosing the higher vibration, letting go. The only way I can get to peace, because this can eat you alive. And when it is time for you to speak, and there will be a lot fewer times than, yes, the door is open, say something, then there will be to hold your peace and be nice. I will wager that there will be a lot more of these than here's the open door, say something. And when that time comes, the something that you say just literally comes out of your mouth. You don't have to plan it. You don't have to figure out what it's supposed to be. It will just come out when it's time. And the right things will be said. I had a most marvelous opportunity to experience that. I was giving somebody a reading who at the very end said, I just really feel like I need to go to Ukraine and help them out. And then this whole long thing came out. Boom, 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 point after point after point. And one of the first things I said is, I said, I know you're not going to like hearing this, but thanks to Donald Trump, we had 4 years of peace. There was no war. He's the first president in a really long succession of presidents that did not go to war. So we got used to peace. And then at the appearance of war, we're more highly sensitized to it, which is a good thing. Nonetheless, what they're showing you, there are video companies that are suing media companies for using their footage, calling it news. And you can do this with just about any image you want to Google search. On top of which they're having a really hard time covering up that Ukraine has been absolutely infested and overtaken with Nazis, actual Nazis, not just fanatical, bald neo-Nazis, but a continuation from World War II. And if you have studied and understood your history, you'll understand the various factions, one that starts with a KHAZ ... If you know who those players are, you know the level of evil that we're dealing with. Nonetheless, I explained it all to him, various things just came out of my mouth, and I was like, it's not what you think it is, and there's actually some really bad stuff there that's being addressed and taken care of for the rest of us. And it's just been a hotbed of money laundering and corruption, and our government, it's a proxy state created by the CIA. And I was just laying truth bombs like Laura Logan. And then when it was over, it was over. And his response was, wow, there's a lot more evil. People are so much more evil than you'd expect, or something like that. And I was like, yeah, we don't think like them. So it's hard to imagine. And it was like, did the door just crack open for him? And for me, not having said anything for all those years, and then boom, I say something. because it was time. You will know when those times happen because you will simply find yourself saying something. And if you're saying it in anger and aggression and down at this lower vibration of that just overwhelmed frustration, then it's probably not going to sow any good seeds. You've got to be the person that they trust, that they want to come back to. You know, if you've already laid down your narrative, you go. They know that as things begin to get revealed, they're going to be like, oh, there was that other narrative that I was criticizing, but I know what the narrative is. And it's just like what they're doing with, the narrative of Russia. The movies for the last 20 or 30 years, or 50 or 60 or 70, it's like they knew we would get to this place. And now every movie that somebody watches going back to the 70s or 80s, Russia's the bad guy. And people are like, oh, yes, they've always been the bad guy. And I'm like, oh my God, PSYOP at its worst. Shit. Might get another strike for dropping truth bombs like this with all of my 100 subscribers. But anyway, we have the capacity, and I know I'm not nailing it because I'm not there 100% today, but I was there before, and I was like, gosh, I just really want to talk about this. Jesus talking to Pontius Pilate, and Pontius Pilate is like, I have the power of life or death over you. And Jesus is like, no, you don't. It's given by the Father. My life is in his hands, and he makes use of you. He uses you to exact his will. I'm not subject to you. And he says it with total equanimity, with akame. No anger, no reaction. Just I see you. I see the situation, and I speak with a kind of detachment and clarity. And every time I go in and I ask God about this, I have this kind of overwhelm of like, the lie is so big now that, like Goebbels said, you make it so big that it becomes impossible for them to believe that they've been that holistically, totally deluded, And I get a little overwhelmed with that. But then I feel the edges of this. No, it's just the dam is just about to break. There are such good things happening. There are good people in powerful places carrying out a positive plan, and you can see it. You can see the edges of it. And they can't do it all out in the open, I mean, I was feeling the tremors of the madness, the anti-madness we've heard of, the matrix falling apart, and the trauma of seeing that what you thought was real isn't actually real. Now, for me and most of the people I know, when we woke up, it was like click, lights on, no trauma. Oh, I can see now. So I hope that that's the way it happens for a lot of people. Nonetheless, it might be traumatic and painful and difficult for a lot of people. And I just was feeling those tremors, and I just hear from God over and over again, this is my business. Awakening people at their appointed time is between God and that person. And why was my contract to wake up exactly when I did? Why not before? Why not after? And this is going to appear in the lens of time as a dimmer switch that went on really pretty quickly. But we're still going through the increase of the dimmer switch. So there's some parts of the room that you can't see very clearly yet, or some people that can't see very clearly yet, but it's a process and it's happening. So I'm just really trying to encourage everybody to take the high road, try to be gracious, kind, go into trust. Because once you get sucked into that impossible back and forth of, I want them to see things the way I do, you're at this level of belief and ego. And the more you push, the more it pushes back. And that's exactly what they've thrived on. You've got to rise above that. And the only way I can do that is trust and to stay in the heart and choose love. And we have had to choose love over and over. So at this church I was going to, I was standing in the back, not having revealed my position to anyone but one person. And my friend was talking about, masks, no masks, and trying to please everybody. And some people thought we were under protecting. Others thought we were overprotecting, and so I just kind of burst right in there and I said, tolerance. We've had to learn tolerance and kindness and love. We have had to choose love. And every family has been in that predicament, in that situation. And, there are still family members that I can't talk to. So I'm not saying that I chose love and rose above it all, because those people have choices to make too. And I just don't think it's time yet. You can feel, when it's time to talk to some and not others. So let's try to stay in trust and love. And that's pretty much all I have to say. And I think maybe I'm being shadow banned because I haven't observed that there's a single viewer. Really weird. So if you've seen this, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Love and peace to you.